This is a Fox News alert. A shocking verdict, frankly an inexplicable verdict, in the Kate Steinle murder trial. A California jury has just found an illegal alien not guilty on all counts, 3 separate counts, potential counts of murder, except for illegal gun possession, for which he was convicted. Fox's Claudia Cowan is live in San Francisco with all the latest details on this. Claudia?
Well, Tucker, this jury deliberated almost 30 hours, and there was growing speculation among some of us who've been covering this case that there might be a deadlocked jury and a mistrial. But soon after they asked the judge to handle the gun that was used to kill Kate Steinle, just shortly after that, they reached a verdict. And as you mentioned, it is a shocking verdict. Not guilty of murder in the first or second degree, not guilty of involuntary manslaughter, not guilty of assault with a semi-automatic weapon. So a big win for the public defender in this case. His name is Matt Gonzalez. Shortly after the verdict was read, he came out into the hallway to address the throng of reporters who have been waiting for this verdict to come down, or a verdict. And he almost immediately took aim at President Trump, saying he's bracing for the tweets, but just wait. Listen to what he said.
Those who might criticize this verdict, there are a number of people that have commented on this case in the last couple of years. The Attorney General of the United States, the President and Vice President of the United States. Let me just remind them that they are themselves under investigation by a special prosecutor in Washington, D.C., and they may themselves soon avail themselves of the presumption of innocence and beyond a reasonable doubt standard. And so I would ask them to reflect on that before they comment or disparage the result in this case.
Matt Gonzalez came directly over to talk to me as soon as he left the Hall of Justice, and he said this is not a night for celebrating by any means, but he said that he feels that this jury reached the right verdict given the circumstantial evidence that was brought into this trial. There was no testimony about the defendant's criminal history or the fact that he was a multiple felon and deportee on track for his 6th deportation from the United States. The jury was not allowed to consider any of that. And the defense really painted a case here that this was an unintentional discharge of a loaded weapon that happened to be on a popular tourist pier on July 1st in 2015. And but for the ricochet of the bullet, Kate Steinle would still be alive. So the jury clearly poring over a lot of evidence here to reach this verdict. It will be roundly attacked, Tucker, as we know. Matt Gonzalez says he doesn't care.
So, Claudia, you've been covering this. I just want to make sure we've got a couple of our facts right before we move into the analysis part of the program. So, this guy had 7 felony convictions. He was a homeless, undocumented immigrant, as they say in San Francisco. He fired the gun 3 times. It was a stolen gun, and it went off 3 times. And his initial explanation was he was shooting sea lions, and then changed his explanation to say it went off accidentally 3 times. Is that all right?
No, Tucker. The gun was fired once. He gave conflicting statements to police, and the defense again poked holes in his muddled confession to police because Mr. Garcia Zarate gave statements that were then clearly proven to be wrong or false. For instance, at one point he told police he went over to Kate Steinle, but surveillance video shows that didn't happen. And there were also issues taken with some of the police translations. So perhaps he didn't say he was shooting at sea lions. Matt Gonzalez raised a reasonable doubt, certainly for this jury, but the gun only fired once. Now, after it fired, Mr. Zarate kicked the gun into the water. The prosecution said that shows evidence of guilt, but the defense said no, he kicked it into the water because it fired on its own and he was scared and he panicked, and so he kicked it in the water. So 2 totally different theories as to what happened, but yes, the gun only fired once.
So the gun was stolen from a federal agent out of a vehicle in downtown San Francisco. His contention was, Zarate's claim was, he found it somehow, somewhere?
Yeah, Mr. Zarate was never charged with stealing that gun. That was never a part of this case. It had been stolen from the parked car of a federal BLM ranger 4 days earlier, not far from the pier. But yes, Zarate's defense was that he was sitting on a bench. He looked down under the bench that was swiveling. He was swiveling on the pier, and there was a bundle, a rag, a T-shirt. And when he bent down to pick it up to see what it was, the gun fired. And again, part of the defense was the trigger pull on this .40 caliber Sig Sauer pistol was so light, just barely the barest amount of pressure would cause it to fire.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, as any gun owner can attest. Claudia, thank you for that. I appreciate it, clearing that up. Well, with reaction to this